Ep9 of Dealer's Choice, and today we've got a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. He is the online phenom who has virtually won everything there is to win online and nearly everything there is to win live. Today it is the Chris Moorman Show. Good evening or good afternoon for yourself, Chris. How's it going?
Good morning, actually, but yeah, not too bad, Ross. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, not bad, not bad. Just getting on with things, my friend. Getting on with things. You're based in Vegas at the moment.
Yeah, I've been here the last few years. Yeah.
Yeah. What's lockdown or quarantine been like over there?
Yeah, not too bad to be honest. Obviously, the weather you can see is pretty nice. It's actually not as hot as it normally is in a Vegas summer, so I've actually been able to enjoy the outdoors a little bit. Yeah, so like I was pretty lucky because just before lockdown, I was over in Europe playing a few live tournaments and stuff, and they're gone for about a month actually. So it was like one of the longest times I've been apart from my wife. And like if I don't know if it had started when I was back over there, I might not have been able to get back into the country. So yeah, like I was pretty lucky that I got back, and I've had someone to hang out with in lockdown, and yeah, it could be way worse really.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to kind of be grateful. There's a lot of people out there that are in a way worse position than we are. So, as much as we like to moan about not getting out and stuff like that, just be grateful for what we've got and getting a spin. As I said, you've managed to spend the time with your partner, Katie.
Yeah.
So at least you've had a bit of company there.
Yeah.
She's a poker player as well, is that right?
Yeah. She like played a little bit before she met me, and then she's been playing more and more the last couple of years. Like she was actually in poker before me. She was a poker agent. Back when I was sponsored by Doors Room, actually, she was the agent for like most of the players, but not me. I never met her then. I didn't meet her till years later. It's kind of weird the way things work out, because like back then, I probably wouldn't have interested her at all. I was like, had no confidence, was like massively overweight. Yeah, so it's kind of weird how things work out. But yeah, I didn't know, like I knew of her back then, but like I'd never met her or anything. And we sort of met years later, so kind of weird. But yeah, she was doing poker longer than me, and it made it easier, I guess, when I met her family, because I didn't have to sort of explain the whole poker thing to them. And they, like, her dad knew that I was English, so he got me, first time I met him, he bought me some like pies and you know, like typical English stuff, pies and Boddingtons, I think.
Where's Katie originate from? Is she American?
Yeah, so her family are all from Florida, so some of her family still live there, but she sort of moved out to LA for like 10 years.
That's good. I mean, having a natural interest with the partner is always brilliant. I mean, as you say, with the poker thing. So, I mean, would you put it down to your success? We'll come to that a bit later, but you could say that's down to Katie.
Definitely a lot of like, well, like it's actually, I was looking the other day, and I'm actually, I think I've sort of, like something about online, like I've played more, won more tournaments online since I met her than before I met her, and which is kind of crazy to me because back then I used to play like, you know, 24/7 every day of the week and didn't have anything else to do. But yeah, and also like with live tournaments before I met her, I won a WPT since I met her, and I won a bracelet. So before I met her, like the only thing I really won was some, you know, EPT turbo side event I was half cut drunk in, you know. So so yeah, I guess so. Like she definitely helps with the mental side of things as well with poker, because I can be quite, I don't know, like not negative, but like I get a bit down on myself, you know, like even, you know, obviously I've done well over the years, but if I go through a rough patch like every poker player does, I can be kind of hard on myself and like think about all the, you know, the bad plays I made, rather than like think about, you know, life's good, it's all good, you know.
So she's kind of like a life coach, sort of life poker coach. You kind of your rock sort of thing, like kind of picks you up when you're on your backside, sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of. I guess like, you know, like anyone, any, you know, wife and husband, like I'm kind of there for her as well in other aspects that she has problems with. But yeah, like, you know, you identify each other's sort of like stuff that they need help with, and like she's, you know, definitely helped me in certain ways.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we'll get on with this. You were born in 1985 in Basildon, Essex, to Sonia and Simon. You have just recently celebrated your 35th birthday a few days ago.
Yeah, old as fuck now.
Mate, I'm 38 this Friday, so let's not go there. July's an excellent year, an excellent month even, but
yeah, everyone I know's birthday's in July. But like it's just crazy because when I first started playing, I was obviously the baby. Like everyone was older than me, like not even close, and now I'm like fucking old man.
yeah, I mean, and you've got sister Felicity, who is a nurse for the NHS. Growing up in Essex, was it rough? Was it tough? Was it hard? Or was it obviously see on television, Towie or The Only Way is Essex. Was that a stereotypical area you grew up in, or was it just the norm?
No, not really. Like I grew up sort of in a small village. Everyone knew everyone, like typical, like everyone joined the football team when they were young, like dreamed of being a footballer. And then I realized I only had one like good foot, so I was fucked. And then like it was harder actually when because the school I went to, I was always the second cleverest in like my year. Like this, I still remember her name, Claire Wild, and she crushed me. But other than that, I was like it wasn't that good at school. And then I did the 11 plus. Like my dad made me revise for it every day after school. And I kind of I like competition. I always like competition. So I was happy to do it, even though like my friends were outside playing. I would be like, okay, I got to do my hour of practice every day. Yeah. And in the 11 plus, I got through. I was just so good at maths. Basically, that's what carried me. The other two parts, English and verbal reason, I sucked. But I got full marks in maths, made it through. I went to this school, like an all-boys school. Grammar school, which was 45 minutes on the bus. So it was quite a journey. And I don't know, it was weird because I feel like at that age you're not really ready to make quite a big decision because I ended up being there for the next 8 years because I did sixth form there as well. And the first year I didn't mind it, but then after that it was kind of pretty bad. I got bullied a lot. Just one of those things where you didn't really fit in school, but then I didn't ever want to leave because I didn't want the stigma of starting a new school and stuff. So I just stuck it out kind of thing. Yeah. But obviously that gave. From there, my problem was that I was used to sort of being the best in my class. And then there, even if I was given 110%, I was never going to be better than top sort of 10. Mm-hmm. So I just gave 40% and got, did enough to, get by and sort of pass the classes, but never was never fulfilled sort of, I guess, my potential, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, well, you had, was it 8 years you were in the grammar school, then you moved on to Essex University, you done economics for 3 years? What, you think it was the love for maths or mathematics or whatever it was, algebra, that kind of sent you forward to the economics sort of route?
I think it was just more that was the one subject where I could see actually using it in the real world. If I was to get a proper job, I always kind of wanted to be work in London somewhere like a stockbroker or something like that. Just, but the other subjects, I just didn't really see a practical use for them. So economics, I was interested in because business is cool, and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't really see that out because obviously poker came along and kind of cut that off and took you on a different venture. But in between the kind of going kind of full-time poker and Essex University, do you have any jobs in between that kind of got you through uni?
Yeah, I had, the first year I came home and my mum got me this job where I was laminating the Argos catalogue, and it was the worst, to be honest. I think you got minimum wage. It was an 8-hour shift. They gave you a 15-minute break in the whole shift. It had to be illegal, surely. But I stupidly thought it was a good idea to get myself through it. I'd worked out the maths of the situation. I was like, okay, we've got this many minutes. I just made this new CD and I liked all the songs. I was like, if I listen to each song 6 times, then the shift will be over. And not only that, I decided to listen to each song 6 times in a row. So it went way longer than, it felt like a week rather than 8 hours. And yeah, these songs I've just never listened to again since. But yeah, it was terrible. It made me not want to, to find something else and do that. But I've had other ones, my dad, when I was at school, my dad got me this job, me and my cousin, painting pallets for his mate's work outside in the summer. And it was supposed to be a wake-up call for me to work harder because I don't want to do this with no skills for the rest of my life. But me and my cousin, we had a great time. We just hung out, chat shit with the lads and got a tan and having it was how was your first day at work, and we were good, and he was straight on the phone to his mate calling him up and having a go at him.
Work him harder.
Yeah,
Get him.
like, yeah. But even like, well, actually, in my second year of university, that's when I started playing poker. So I didn't want to go back and do like a similar job to the one I'd done the first year, and I thought I could make about the same playing poker. And the Ashes were on at the same time of that year. That was the one where Flinov bashed it up. So it was.
Oh yeah.
So my mate, he'd started playing as well. So we decided just to stay in Colchester in Essex and play poker in the day and watch the Ashes, and then go out at night, kind of thing, and then play the next day hungover in our pajamas, kind of thing. And but I knew my mum would never go for that. She didn't even know I played poker at the time. So I actually, like, that year I told my mum I got a job in the local ASDA, and she was like, oh, she was so proud. She was like, wow, you're showing initiative and stuff. And but then the problem was she kept asking me questions about how ASDA was going. I had to invent a fake friend and all kinds of stuff. But like that, so that was the summer where I really started to play poker. I started off 25, 50 cent cash, and by the end I was getting to like 1, 2, and even taking some shots to like 2, 5 kind of thing. So that summer I played every day, and that's kind of where I started to realize that I could do this. Because like going into it, I thought, okay, I can just make enough to like cover the same amount I would in like one of these shitty jobs, and I like ended up doing way better than I expected, kind of thing. But I knew my parents would never go for the idea, so I just had to like make up an alternative story.
So obviously the university, as I said, coincided with you moving on with the poker and lying to your parents about ASDA. What was the point, the turning point for you with when you thought that actually this is going to pay the way? This is paying me a lot better and a lot more than what a normal job would do. And so I'm now going to have to tell my mum and dad, actually, by the way, I'm now a professional poker player, or I'm going to take this seriously. Was it a bink, or was there a point where you thought, you know what, bugger it, this is me?
Well, it kind of started on a low, because at this point I was playing cash, doing pretty good, but was playing real like ABC, you know, like so excited when I hit the set, you know, I'm going to get paid here kind of thing, like real robotic style. And then like I satellited into this monthly tournament, which was I think like a $50 rebuy, but like a big guarantee. And I didn't really play tournaments, but yeah, I satellited in and I was just not going to rebuy. And I got pretty deep. I was down to like the last 20 players from, you know, 1,500 or something. And like the guy on my left got disconnected, and I was like, okay, I can get his blinds every time. And then, you know, turns out someone was raising every time before me, and I was just thinking, oh, now I'm actually like blinding out of this tournament. I could never get a hand to re-raise them back. I could never find ace king or jacks, you know. And then anyway, I finally got ace king, and I was like, here we go. This one guy like kept raising this guy's blind, and I went all in, and he like called me of ace queen. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, kind of thing. Hits the queen, and I'm just sort of sat there shaking my head. Like normally I would tilt, close it, rage, you know. And then I sort of kind of, I don't know, I had like an epiphany. This guy had been like chipping up. I hadn't seen his cards at all. And I watched the rest of the tournament, and he ended up winning it. And I just wrote something in the chat box like, well played. His screen name was G-Force. It's like, well played, G-Force. If you like, you knocked me out in 20th or something. If you ever want to talk strategy, add me on MSN Messenger. And like, I don't know what the chances are he'd actually do that, because I would just be like, no way, this guy's going to be fuming with me. You know, a bad beat him. But he actually added me, and turns out he lived in Leeds, and you know, he was a couple of years older than me, and yeah, he was just a little bit further along the poker like journey than me. So he was playing 5-10 at this point. And kind of, he just took me under his wing. It wasn't like I was even paying for coaching. He was just giving me free coaching, and we got on really well. I just team viewer his sessions when he was playing cash, and learn a lot just watching. I'd be asking annoying questions, kind of thing, to him. But yeah, that was like the point where I started thinking about the game differently, and not just playing my cards, and you know, like just thinking about the situations and the spots, and it just went from there really. And yeah, we're still really good friends to this day, David Gent. Yeah, and he's been one of the top cash game players in the world in the last sort of 10 years. So yeah, it was really lucky for me to sort of actually get that bad beat, because you know, if I'd have actually held there, I probably would have maybe folded up to 5th or 6th in the tournament, lost that money in the next few weeks, and the rest is a different history, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how these little things people say the stars aligning and all that stuff, but it's amazing how, I mean, at the time you were probably kicking yourself because you could have laddered up easily with this guy who disconnected, and you're like, oh my God, fuck's sake. But now, if you look back on it, it's like, well, these things happen for a reason. You and him were coaching, and yeah, You know, it couldn't have happened better, as it were. At the time, you're raging, obviously, and you're like, Christ, if only
Yeah,
I'd fought better and stuff like that. But I mean, you obviously moved on from there. Who were your, like, did you have like a regular group that you would grind with online? Like in the same house or the same?
no, not really. Like I would just grind by myself, but then say like we went to um, so through David Gent, I met his like good friend Paul Fulton. He played more tournaments, so David Gent was cash games. Then when I switched to tournaments, I like became real close with him, and we used to always get a house together in Vegas for the summers, and that was back when you could play online. And also, I was always into travel, so like a few times we got a house in Australia for the Aussie Millions and stayed for an extra month and stuff. So I would travel around the world with a couple of those guys. This other guy, All In Stevie, he's a really funny Irish guy. Sort of, he used to be like in the real world working, and then he'd left that and was doing good at tournaments. So yeah, we used to all travel around together, and then someone would, pick up someone from somewhere who would like join us. And so yeah, but like at home when I was living just in the UK, I would just sort of grind by myself. And my best mate from uni, Stu, he was an electrical engineer, so he had like a normal job. But he played poker as well, but just on the side. He'd have a normal job, and he'd get up for work in the morning at say like 7 in the morning to go to work. And he knew if I was still up, it was normally a good sign I was deep in something. And like we just had but it was like weird, complete separate schedules. Like he'd get home from work, and maybe I'd have an hour before I had to start to grind. So we'd play some Pro Evo, and then I'd get on the grind, and he'd sort of watch TV, and then I'd go to bed, and then he'd wake up, and if I was still up, it was a good sign normally.
Yeah. What was it that got you into poker in the first place? Was it television? Was it a friend or something happened at university?
It was just at university. I was playing in the National University Pool Championships, and on the way home, one of like my teammates, he'd seen it like an advertisement in the paper for a free student tournament, so it was free to play, prize money, and like the winner of the whole tournament got a seat in this live tournament in London, kind of thing. So me and my mates were just like, oh, we didn't know the rules or anything. We went on, I think it was Yahoo back then. It wasn't even Google, and printed off the set of the rules, and like fivers played like 1Ps and 2Ps around the house. And it was on a Monday night as well, so there was nothing really going on campus. So we just fired it on a Monday night, free to enter. The first sort of 5 or 6 times did absolutely nothing, and then one week I came second. So I was gutted to not like get the live seat, but I still got $120. And then I sort of had the dilemma of whether to sort of cash out or play with it and be a gambler, kind of thing. Because like there was a big stigma. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're a gambler now if you're playing with that."
Yeah, I know the feeling. Like as a dealer, you'll probably get yourself, and you get in a taxi, and taxi driver goes, "Oh, where are you off to? What do you do?" and all that. And it's like, "Oh, I'm a dealer," or you say you're a player. It's like, "Oh yeah, so you spin the ball, you deal black." No, mate. So now I'm unemployed, mate. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then he starts wondering how he's getting paid. So.
Yeah.
But no, it's yeah, you're right. I mean, it has got a stigma, but I mean, I think it's evolved massively over 20 years since the smoky card rooms with the cowboy hats. And it's more of a kind of friendlier atmosphere, I would say, especially live. It opens more doors for a lot of people. And as you say, you've went from $120 and then you never look back from there to now. So you got your first recorded result as according to the Hendon mob, whether that's true or not, I don't know. In 2008 was the WSOP Vegas. Going into that, did you feel that live poker was kind of like, nah, I'm doing really good on online stuff? Online's better than live, or what was it, the difference back then?
I don't know. It's a combination of things. Like it wasn't like some people, the first live tournament they play, they go deep in it, gives them the bug. Like first few live tournaments I played, I was snap out. I was just like, I didn't really like it. It was a little bit slow for me. I was used to playing like multiple games at once, and just I don't know. Like I didn't know if I was a fish or not. So what I did I was just playing live whenever I won a satellite. So if I won a satellite online, I'd be like, okay, kind of have a little holiday, go there. And if not, then I was like, okay, you're not good enough to play there live yet, kind of thing. And also, I don't know, I'd watched all the sort of the WPT episodes, the World Series episodes, and I looked at those guys differently. I almost looked at those guys as better than me. So I was like, okay, I'm doing my online training. I'll keep doing good there, and when I'm ready kind of thing. So I would go to Vegas every year because I got the bug for Vegas because it was, such a different place to what I was used to. I'd won a satellite to the main event, I think in whichever year it was. Jamie Gold won it, so I don't know if that was 2006 or 7. I'm not sure. But so that year I played the main event and like one side event to warm up, and then I kind of got the bug to go every year with my friends because we got a house together and stuff like that. But outside of that, I was just like, oh, if I satellite into a live tournament, I'll play it. So I think I played the Masters Classic a couple of times and just little stuff like that. The only ones I'd maybe travel to would be the GUKPTs because they were closer and smaller buy-ins, and I see some friends I've met online and stuff like that.
So you obviously, you say you treat it differently. Do you think it was because online the money, it wasn't real, but you didn't have to like pick it out and then pay for stuff? The online stuff was a click of the button and boom, like you would snap register a 2K or a 3K or whatever it was online. But when it came to the live stuff, unless you had a satellite for it, you wouldn't really go for the live stuff that much. Just more of an online grinder.
You'd have to go to the bank to get the money, and I was lazy. But no, no, I just felt like it was, like I was just so sort of almost addicted to online poker. I wake up and I'd straight away be in the lobbies, like looking what I could play that day. Whereas to go and play live, I had to get there. I don't drive, so it was kind of a bit of a mission, and I have to organize things, buy flights, and that just seemed like a lot of hassle for something that was going to take days to even get the money in. Whereas online, I could play sort of 20 games at once and be loving it.
Yeah, I mean, fast forward to 2011 for the live stuff. The first kind of big thing there I've seen is January, and the Aussie Millions. You came 7th in the main event for 175,000 Aussie dollars.
Yeah.
Then we go to June in Vegas, and 2011 was a good year live. Pot limit hold'em 18th, no limit holding 66, third in the 6 max no limit for $271,000, 11th in the PLO. Then you rounded that off in Vegas with second in the 6 max for $716,000. Now, what was it about 2011? You just went boom.
I don't know. I'd like turn into a new person. I don't know. I remember at the time, people were asking me, oh, what are you doing differently? Because I'd sort of been on the live scene a little, like 2010, 2009, I've been playing more stuff. So people would see me on the live scene. And they started getting to the stage where some of my friends, I'd ask them for a swap and they wouldn't swap with me anymore. They'd make up an excuse like they were backed. And I was like, I thought you weren't backed, Like, like it got to that stage where they're like, they'd swap with me in a heartbeat online, but live, they thought I was a huge fish. So I was getting low confidence. I'd even tried wearing sunglasses one tournament, I was trying everything, and nothing was really working. And then 2011, just out of nowhere, it kind of all came together. But I wasn't like I suddenly started doing anything that differently. Just the key pots I was winning rather than losing. I was winning the key flips. Maybe that gives you a bit more confidence in some spots to pull the. It wasn't even like I was scared of pulling the trigger live. I was probably pulling the trigger too much. But I just. Everything sort of came together, and I was, as you mentioned there, I was even coming like 11th in a 5K 6 max PLO. That I was definitely not one of the better players in that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that because primarily, as the normal person, as it were, would know you're primarily a 2-cards player.
Yeah.
So that year, leading up to what happened in October in WSOP Europe, PLO, was it you just think I'm on a massive heater here at the moment, I'm doing really well, I'm going to try and enter as much as I can and see what goes what? Or did you actually have a grasp of PLO?
Yeah, I could play, I can play still now, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't buy into that tournament as if it was like, I don't know, tomorrow kind of thing. But back then everyone sort of fired everything as well. Like back then I would play the 10K heads up, and I'm really not a heads up player and wouldn't dream of playing it these days, So it was just a case of if there was a tournament on, you'd play it, and there wasn't as many huge buy-in, they didn't have the 100Ks and stuff like that. So basically, if there was a tournament and I knew the rules, I would be in there. Like,
you're in there, yeah.
Even if I wasn't maybe massively plus EV, I'd just be in there because you had to be in it, kind of thing. But now, obviously, once the tournaments get bigger, you realize there's certain tournaments that you should and shouldn't play, or you should sell action or whatever. So it was just a different game back then. Everyone just sort of was like, "Oh, there's a tournament on today. What is it? Yeah, okay, I'm in. I'll do a quick 1 hour video. That should help me." Yeah. That was just the way it was. Just it's crazy because it wasn't even that many years ago, but like it's the game's changed so much now. Everyone's like more concerned about maximizing their EV and stuff, and back then it wasn't even a thing.
Now, fast forward a few months after that to October in Cannes for the WSOP Europe main, you came second for €800,000. Final table, I think you sat beside Jake Cody.
Yeah.
Was Jake one of your friends back then through the poker life?
Yeah, it was actually funny because I guess this was, I'm trying to think, maybe this was a couple of years or maybe a year after he'd won the Heads Up, the World Series. And he, like that tournament, we'd just met the week before. And that was the stage where I was doing really bad in live poker. So I didn't want to ask him for the swap and get showered. And I also knew he was like in playing for Matchbook, so he didn't have all the action. So I was like, we're on the bubble round as well, and 25K heads up. Had no business being in this tournament myself. I had 100% of the action as well, so I was just like, what am I doing? And I got like drawn against a tough opponent and tough online opponent. Jake had like a similar skilled opponent, and I've been talking to him, and I was like, oh, I really want to swap with him, but like, I just don't want to make it awkward and ask him. So anyway, we're walking off to play our matches. Just as we were about to sit down, he was like, you want to swap 10? I was like, yeah, loving that. Sure. And anyway, I bubble and he cashes. So I'm already loving that because I think it was like a 60K min cash or something. So I'm like, I at least got 6K back.
Yeah.
And then he went all the way and obviously railing him in person as well. So it was, cash for like 900K or something. So I got 90K on the swap. So it was better than the min cash. So I was absolutely loving it. So this one, we actually swapped in this one as well. So I was able to pay him back like a lot of it anyway, so that was good. But it was crazy because on the final table it was quite Max Silver was there as well. Yes. And like there was a bunch of named players, and actually the funny thing was me, Jake and Elio, who I ended up losing heads up to, we'd been going for dinner in that tournament like from day one randomly because like we knew Elio but we weren't like good friends with him, and randomly he'd gone to dinner with us, like a group of like 7 of us, and the first day and we gone to this place, had a good dinner. And then the next day we've ended up at the same place, and now maybe 7's down to 5, a couple of people busted. And then the next day we're like, okay, we're all still in, we've got to keep going to the same place. And the tournament's so long, it's like a week-long tournament, that stupid thing. And so we're on like day 5, we're still going to the same place, and it's me, Jake, and Elio, and we're on the final table, and we're still just having dinner together, kind of thing. It's like kind of surreal. And then Elio bad beat Jake actually in like 5th or something, and me and Elio got heads up and we ended up chopping, but then he bashed me up. So that was the time I kept losing heads up as well. So it was pretty frustrating. But no, I remember the next tournament because straight from there you go to EPT. It was EPT.
Prague.
No, it was the one in Italy. What's it called? San Remo.
San Remo.
So yeah. So we just got a taxi from there, and I also had made a few swaps with people. So I just got all the money in cash. So I got all these like 500 euro notes, carrying around like €1 million in my backpack. And like just texting random people like who I swapped 10% with, and like, I'll get you 50K euros or whatever here. So I give them, and I'm just in the taxi. We got an hour taxi, and I'm like thinking, oh God, if I get robbed here. But I just went like, as soon as we got to the hotel, I put it in the safe and sort of locked the safe. Like, used the one code I'd ever use. Then went straight and played the EPT because I just didn't want to be sitting on. And then at the EPT, day 1, I've actually doubled up early on, and Elio's walked in and he's got the swap money that for the swap heads up for the chop, and so he just hands me this plastic bag with like 150,000 euros or whatever it was in it, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't really feel comfortable playing it all day. So anyway, I just decided to go run back to the hotel quickly, sit out for a bit, blinds were low, rushed in, obviously in a rush, put it in the safe and ran off again, back play the tournament. And then that night, after sort of making it through, having a few drinks, I go back I was like, okay, I better check the safe before I go to sleep. And I just couldn't for the life of me get it open. And I was just, oh my God, what the hell? Like, there's only one code it could be. And like, obviously I'm a bit drunk as well, so I'm freaking out. I go downstairs to talk to reception, and they just, no one understands English as well. I think they say something about have to wait till the manager comes the next day. So I just was up all night, couldn't sleep, heart was racing. I was sharing my room with Taylor Parr as well, who's like one of my like best horses and like really good close friend of mine, and he was the only one who knew the code. So I was like, wow, if you're still here and you've like somehow got someone to steal this is a really good hustle to you. And we were laughing about that. And anyway, the next morning they came up and like they have to open, like they open the safe, but they're not allowed to see what's in it, so they're like looking the other way, and like they open it up slowly, and like I'm just suddenly like, boom, yes. And they're like, what? I was like, oh no, it's okay. And like, but like the money was all there. I was like, fucking hell. Like it was a big sweat because, you know, like after maybe I'd given out all the swaps, so there was still like 600k euros in there. I was like, oh my God. But I wasn't, because I didn't really care about money. So I wasn't even thinking about, oh, losing the money. I was just thinking about, oh my God, like my friends are going to have a field day on this one when I tell them I've lost their money already.
A couple
Because like
of
the
them
thing was
did.
back then as well, I was backing people, so like money came and gone. Like within a month, I could have lost that backing anyway. So it wasn't really a big deal with the losing the money. It was more just like the embarrassment of the story.
Going forward to your first massive bink and the first part of what is known as the Triple Crown, we are 2014 March. You won the WPT LA Poker Classic for just over $1 million. Leading up to that, what are you thinking when you go through all these, like, you're going deep, you're getting deeper, you're accumulating chips, people are busting. I mean, is it a different feeling to going deep in that than it is to doing well online?
Yeah, hugely. Like that tournament was it was a long one as well, because it was weird because that tournament they play no dinner break, but you just play right through. So I guess it starts at 12 and you play till like 8 in the evening, and then you're done for the day. And I was living in LA at the time, so I kind of would go home just to my house and sort of chill, maybe grab dinner and then go to bed and play again. But it was like six days, like long, not long days because you finish early, but also like there's no, you know, you get your 10-minute, 15-minute break. There's no lunch break breaking it up. And you just kind of slow days in the sense of like, you maybe like there's 100 left and there's the next day there's 35 left. You know, you haven't really made any big money until you get to the final table. So it was just about not blowing up for me, because I know I was always capable of blowing up. So I was like, okay, don't blow up, just make it to the 6 max portion, because I think once you got the money, the tournament went to 6 max. So I was really, that's like my best game. So I was trying not to do anything silly before then, and then just go from there. So it was just like baby steps, get to the final table. And you know, like even on the final table bubble, I like went for this huge 3-barrel bluff in a 3-bet pot, and my opponent tanked 10 minutes on the river. It was like probably the longest time like in poker that I was sweating it, and he was asking me all these questions and like, oh, but somehow he folded, and just little things like that. But even on the final table, it was at one point I had all the chips, then I had none of the chips. I misread my hand on the final table as well. It was kind of, I'd raised Jack 3 of hearts on the button, I thought, and it had come queen high with 2 hearts, and basically my opponent check raised and I called with a flush draw. Then I turned a gut shot with my flush draw and he checked, and I could have just taken the free card, or I could start trying to bluff. I decided just to bet the turn. He called, and now I thought he had a queen, but he so top pair. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna, let's see what the river is, see if it's a scary card or not, and whether I'm gonna try and bluff him or not. And then there was like, kind of the river came pretty scary. I missed my flush, but it was like a 4 to the straight. So like either an 8 or a 3 made a straight. But I've got the bottom end of the straight. So I was like, okay, I don't think he's going to call huge bet here, because he was, I don't know, he was the type of person who wouldn't want to risk his whole tournament on a big call with one pair. So I bet like an amount, basically I bet the maximum amount I thought he'd call. And he like tanked for a while and called. So I was like, boom, this big pot. So I went to turn over my hand, and I actually had Jack 2 of hearts. So I had absolutely nothing. I had Jack eye. So I flipped over like I got the nuts, and I just had, flipped over my bluff. And he's like, okay, Queen Jack, thanks. And but obviously, if I'd known I had Jack 2 of hearts, I would have bet bigger against this guy, because I didn't think he was going to call a bigger bet. But just like, you know, that was definitely a time where like my wife helped me, because she was railing, and you know, we went on a break 10 minutes later, and she was able to sort of pick my spirits up and make me realize, you know, whatever happened, I've still, you know, still not, if I come fourth, it's not the end of the world. It's still a good score and stuff like that. So nothing to lose. Whereas previously I might have been in my own head and just sort of given up, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was definitely like a really amazing tournament, because by that point I'd, you know, come second a few times, and I just really wanted to win a live tournament. I've been playing them for years.
Yeah.
So it was good to finally get it done.
Yeah, I mean, what's going through your head when you're like heads up, or after you've just done like as you call it, kind of a little bit of a blow up when you've kind of misread your hand? What's going through your head leading up to heads up and stuff like that? Have you totally alienated that away from you? Has Katie helped you like get rid of that, and you're now thinking positive, or?
Yeah, it was still in the back of my mind, obviously, but yeah, I tried to like wipe it from my memory. And then suddenly, like, well, what happened with free left kind of wiped everything, and it all felt like a blur afterwards. Because what happened was, like the chip leader guy who had the queen in that hand, he'd opened, and this online guy, Michael Rucker, he'd gone all in for like less than 20 bigs, and I had about 27 bigs myself. So it was a big pot for me. If I'd lost this, I would have been sort of crippled, and he would obviously double. And I had pocket 10, so obviously an easy shove for me free-handed. So I shoved, and then the chip leader guy snap called as well. I was like, oh shit, like it's just got like a bigger pair here, or like hopefully he's got ace king, I don't know. And I saw one of his cards after he's like called anyway, but like when he flipped it over, I saw a jack, so I was like, oh no, he's got pocket jacks, great. And then I see the other one, it was queen, and it was queen jack suited, and he just sort of gambled, trying to knock us both out. And the other guy had ace eight off, so it's a big freeway all in, like for basically, you know, like if I won, I would have about even going into heads up and be a heads up. If I lost, I would come second. But if I lost the ace eight guy, I would come third. So I was thinking, so it was like a weird combination. I'm thinking about the ladder. I'm thinking about like trying to win the freeway all in, but you know, having to avoid half the deck. And then it came like a king, queen, jack flop. So everyone had a piece of it, nothing on the turn. And I was just thinking, I was like, in my head, I was just like going, Barry Greenstein. And then it's Barry Greenstein on the river. And I just like went mad. And that's like the one real time in live poker where I've like just lost it, sort of like, you know, because like, you know, like just you're like normally calm, cool. We've seen it all before. But freeway all in for like in live poker for like, yeah, it was crazy. So then going into heads up after that, I was just thinking, God, I have to win this one this time. Otherwise, like, you know, when am I ever going to win if I can't win after I've won a freeway all in, you know? So I like just kind of was just laser focused and got one big bluffer. And then from there, it like worked out pretty good.
Yeah, you mentioned Katie, your now wife, obviously. You met her back in 2012 when you were reeling one of your horses, Jason Kuhn, when he was heads up.
Yeah, he was heads up in this half Omaha, half Hold'em heads up tournament. So we went to Rail like a few months earlier. He'd started training. Like I had a like a grinding house in Cyprus I got after Black Friday, and I'd basically got it to get some of my horses to come out from America to sort of grind off their makeup and sort of hang out as well. So I was like, it was good in both ways. So I was trying to get some of the money back, but also I was kind of getting sick of like the online grind on my own. So I wanted to sort of have like a house to hang out with friends in and go out. And so so I did that. And then there was a bunch of people there for the first sort of 6 months, and then a couple of them got homesick and left. So then I need to get some new people in, and Jason was obviously like the one person back then in poker who was in good shape. So I was getting in worse and worse shape every year, and I got to the point where it was just like too far gone to even try and sort it myself. So out on a whim on the blue, I just sort of sent him a message, New Year's message, like trying to make myself feel better in Facebook chat, saying, "You want to come out to Cyprus and be my personal trainer and chef, and I'll put you in some EPTs and stuff." And he was like, sure. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then he was there every day, like knocking on my door, like no matter what time I went to bed at night from the grind, he was there at like 10 a.m. Even though if he'd heard me go to bed at 8 a.m., he was straight 2 hours sleep in the gym doing leg day, eating super clean, not really drinking. And like, I lost like 50 or 60 pounds in a few months. So it was really like good for me in terms of life as well. So yeah, he helped me with that. So he'd met a lot of the UK guys through me as well. So they all came out. We all went to rail him. And yeah, my wife knew him for a friend, and she happened to be in Vegas for some business thing. So she left the pool and went and railed with her friend. And obviously, you know, we're like, what, two girls doing railing poker? So we'd had a few drinks and started chatting to them, and they were loving the British banter and the British rail. So they came over and we just sort of got chatting to them and hung out with them. I think he came second in the end, but we all like went for a dinner, and then we all met up at Stoney's. Everyone met up at Stoney's on a Thursday night, and just sort of was chatting all night. And she just stayed at our house in Vegas for that rest of that month. So we basically lived together from day one, kind of thing. So it was like you get to know someone pretty quick. Like she saw the worst side of me, so I didn't have to pretend to be someone I wasn't. You know, when you're going out on a date every time and seeing each other once or twice a week. So yeah, that month, and then Vegas finished that year, and we were like, what we're going to do? And I was like, well, I need to move out of this house in Cyprus, so maybe you can help me do that. And like after that, we can like do a sort of trip to Europe, and like so we went and saw Italy, and like went to a bunch of places, and then I just moved in with her in LA, and kind of the rest is history.
Never looked back, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you met her, when you were real and Jason, did she know? You said that she was a poker agent and done stuff. Did she know who you were?
Yeah, because she was always like, "You're the guy." She's like, we were having some banter, and she was like, "You're the guy who always like kept knocking my clients out on final tables and winning the tournament." She was like, "My dad always used to be like, oh, that fucking Chris Moorman."
And then you got married, and he kept on saying
he's just playing every day. He's on the internet every day playing. Like, does he do anything else? I was like, nah, not
really. Brilliant. And yeah, you guys got married in 2015. As you said, you've kind of been together ever since the Vegas when you met her. She's a massive integral part of your life, obviously being married, but in more of the sense of kind of life coach, where the poker picks you up when you're down. The 2014 win, he said that after you misread your hand, she took you aside and chatted to you. Is she at all your events when you final table or go deep in these events?
Like she normally travels with me, like to most events. But like there's definitely been times where she hasn't been there, and I've also not like I try and be there when she goes. Like she's plays a lot in Vegas, so a few times I like come to her final tables and stuff. But there's obviously like times when we've just not been able to make it to each other's stuff, but then you're like calling each other on break and like just, you know, or like railing, sweating it really hard. Like even when I remember she was on the final table or something in Venetian, I was back in the UK, and obviously the time difference and stuff, it was like 4 a.m. She was like, just go to bed, like you've got stuff to do tomorrow. I was like, no, I can't, I need to know what happens. I can't, like, I wouldn't be able to sleep anyway, so I'm like sweating it and like virtually railing. So yeah, I think we're both like want to be there and support each other, because like I think especially live poker, like a lot of the time it is heartbreaking, like frustration and bad, you know, like 9 times out of 10 it's not going to go well more than that. So when it does, you want to be there and like support each other and enjoy the moment really, and just embrace the positive things that happen, because there's so many, like especially in tournament poker, there's so many times it doesn't go well. When it does go well, if you don't really embrace it and like enjoy it, then you're just going to be a miserable person, I think.
Yeah, because you've got to appreciate the highs, you've got to appreciate or endure the lows, so to speak. And obviously you've been there for each other through both highs and lows, because you know yourself as probably as well as anybody, when it gets low, it can get really dark at times with the poker world. And you need somebody there to kind of pick you up and give you a little slap on the face and say, come on, get your act together. The things can be better. I mean, the way you talk about her and the way you praise her, obviously, because she's your wife, it sounds like you are good for each other. Basically, when she's final tabling, when she's doing this and she needs help, boom, Chris is on the phone, and vice versa. So it seems like you're brilliant for each other, and it's kind of life coach as well. It's just massive chemistry.
Yeah, well, she like also back before that LA win, that was probably my hardest couple of years in poker. Like I'd had to drop all my horses. At one point I had like up to 30 different horses that I was backing and putting everything in, you know, in the World Series main event. So my exposure was like, you know, 200 or 300K in that. So like it was crazy swings, and it basically was always ups and downs. And I managed it pretty horrendously. I should have got someone to help me manage it. It was absolutely useless. But I'd always seem to get lucky and get out of it. Just as I was thinking, oh my god, I don't know if I can afford to do this anymore, someone would bink something for over $1 million, and then a few weeks later I'd lost that. It was just always ups and downs. And then I guess suddenly I just didn't get lucky once, and it went on a, you know, extended down period, and I had to get rid of everyone and start all over again and basically play a lower stakes myself. And it was kind of a bit embarrassing as well, because I remember like just different things, like my dad had always told me, oh, you should buy a house, you should invest in a house. And I was like, I don't really know where I want to live, to be honest. So I don't really want to buy somewhere I don't want to live in. And so I was like, always like, I'll invest in poker because I know poker, I know who's a good player. And it worked for a while, but then I kind of, you know, maybe you get greedy. You're like, okay, I want to get more and more players, and you just take on worse players who can't beat the games. And in your head, you're like, okay, I'll just put them in the smaller tournaments so they can't play the bigger tournaments. But then their makeup will get big, and you'd be like, okay, well, they could get lucky. It's a poker tournament. Anyone can win a poker tournament, you know. So you bigger buy-in, and then they lose. Their makeup will get higher, then they lose motivation, just a spiraling thing out of control. And then you didn't want to get rid of someone, even if they were a bad horse, when they were like 200k in debt to you, because you think they could get lucky, and if they win a tournament 200k, you get all of it. So it's hard to just write it off completely. Like, I had friends who were way better than me at that, like someone like Toby Lewis. If he thought a player wasn't playing well, he'd just write off the money and just get rid of them, and be, you know, like, he was more of a businessman. I was more like, I can coach them, I can make them work through it, like, we can figure this out. But obviously I just didn't have time. I was still trying to play like all the time as well. So yeah. But yeah, this like so I got rid of all my horses, I guess, straight after I met Katie, actually. Like that summer, like I was like telling her, you know, like people were trying to get money off me to play tournaments, and she was like, "Oh, you're gonna go to the bank?" I was like, "Well, I would, but there's not really anything in there." I was like, "Yeah, well, I think I got enough for the main event." And she was like, "What happens if no one does good in the main event?" I was like, "Okay, well, I'll do good." And she was like, "What happens if you don't do good?" I was like, "Well, we'll cross that bridge if we come to it." I didn't think that was practical at all, but she kind of like, you know, it was a new relationship, so she stayed out of it completely and just let me get on with it. And yeah, it didn't work out. So I had to have that awkward conversation of dropping everyone and just losing like, you know, millions of makeup, really. It was crazy, and starting all over again, and then like having to sort of tell my dad that, yeah, I was like, you know, lost it all. And like, it felt a bit weird because, you know, I had sort of nearly, you know, 5 or 6 years of great success crushing, and I didn't really have anything to show for it. So I tried to like look at the positives, in the sense that like, okay, now when I play tournaments again, winning the tournament, you know, even if it's a small sort of $20 rebuy online, it's going to mean something to me. It's going to be exciting again, and like building the bankroll back. But poker had changed quite a bit at that time as well, and it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. I thought I'd just, you know, play these lower stakes tournaments, rock up, beat them. You know, there's thousands of players. So in reality, what kept happening was I'd go through, you know, most of them and come 12th, and it would just be like for $200 and just be a complete waste of time. And it would like really hurt. I think I was by far the best player in the tournament, and I was missing all the live poker tournaments because I was like, I don't know. I'd never been one to like get backed. I never got backed, and I didn't want to. In my head, I was like, okay, I'll just take a year out from live poker, play online, grind it back up, and start over, and it'll be fine. But the first sort of few months was going badly, and I was getting really frustrated and just becoming quite a negative person. And that was actually when, like, Katie, she put me onto this mind coach guy who actually is a professional mind coach, and he'd been working with Liv Barry, who was a good friend of hers. And you know, I remember one of the first things she said to me was like, "Oh yeah, he's been working with Liv, and she's cashed her last 4 10Ks." And I was like, "Oh, 4 tournament sample. Oh, it must be, oh, this is," you know, like, I came in so negative, and like I was playing in Vancouver online at that time, and he agreed just to come to Vancouver to meet me. And like, you know, I didn't promise him any money or anything. He just came out there. He said he was going to meet a friend anyway. I met with him, and I came in super negative, like, it's just like, I'll just do this to please her kind of thing, and spoke to him, and I actually got a lot out of it. I was talking to him about stuff, you know, you just don't really talk to your mates about, you know, just stuff growing up, childhood stuff, whatever. From day one, I was like, this is really weird, because I feel like I've known this guy for years, but I've just met him. But like, I don't know. And I you know, was working with him for a few weeks in Vancouver, and I started going on a nice upswing, could tie him in as well. So I believed into it and opened up to him more. And that was when just before I played the LA tournament, and that was like the first live tournament I played in like 7 or 8 months, and went into that, and yeah, so I won that, and sort of the rest is history. I still like speak to him sort of once a month now, just to check in and stuff, when, you know, and he just helps me with life stuff as well. I don't know, he just sometimes I just talk everything out with him, and then I am able to come to a decision, rather than if I just doing it by myself, I just don't know the answer kind of thing. So yeah, he was really helpful for me. But like, looking back, it's crazy to think I was so like closed off to it. I guess it's kind of the British way. You're just like, I don't need someone to help me with my problems. I sort them out myself, you know. Like, it's kind of like admitting being weak, like getting help, outside help. But yeah, he's been great to me staying. I've worked with him for like six plus years now. It's like, I'd like call him a good friend of mine. So
yes. It's always good to admit certain things as well. I mean, we all have our demons, Chris. In the poker world, it can be dark places, especially, as you said, you dropped all your horses, you were going through a bad time yourself. The missus was asking the questions, what if? And you must have been shitting yourself. Let's not beat around the bush. And to get the opening up, I mean, it's always a good thing to open up and talk. Do you think going forward, that was like a massive turning point as well, just kind of releasing all this tension and all this negativity and all this darkness, and then thinking, you know what, actually, this guy's good for me.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, I mean, like at the time I was being that person who was like looking at all the tournament lobbies and like, oh, that guy won that tournament, he's not even good. Like, you know, very like just the person you just don't want to be around, you know. I'd never been that person as well. And, you know, like Kay was trying to help me and I would be just like mean to her and be like, you know, I've done okay. Like I've done this all myself. You weren't there before and I did well, you know, like just not receptive to it at all kind of thing. And yeah, like I needed a sort of a wake up call and just sort of drop my ego and just get on with it and like realize that I wasn't, you know, you're not owed to win tournaments just because you've won tournaments in the past. Like, you know, I've worked harder. Like, I fixed some leaks in my game that I got a bit lazy on because I didn't have time to work on my game with all the horses and stuff. Even like messaged like a fellow pro and got them to sort of look over my game, which, you know, like took a lot because you know, and like I wouldn't say I have a particularly big ego at all, but like everyone, you know, if you've been successful, you're gonna to ask someone else like who does the same thing as you, like it feels a bit like trying to think of the word, like I don't know, but like I didn't, definitely something I didn't want to do, but I felt like I had to do, and I'm glad I did it, kind of thing.
Cool. I mean, you done that. You opened up. You kind of turned it around, as it were. You moved on. The next part of the big binks, as it were, the Triple Crown. The 2 out of 3 you've got was 2017 WSOP 6 Max for just under $500,000. You got the bracelet. The British Rail, from what you've said and from what I've heard, was quite rowdy and lively. You had all your friends there. I've seen the pictures. It looks fucking amazing. Do you attribute stuff like that to, you said you done your sort of the health coach with Jason. He put you in the gym, better eating. You had Katie there, was the kind of like angel on your shoulder, so to speak. You had the mental guy you spoke to through Katie. Do you attribute all these little things like that? And you even said it yourself, you lost a shitload of weight, healthy lifestyle. Do you attribute all of this together going forward to this moment helped you massively turn that kind of corner when you were at your lowest to come back up?
Yeah, I think also it felt like way better than it would, like, say, you know, I rocked up in 2007, one of the first World Series I ever played, and like win an event. Yeah, it would have been amazing, but I would have just, you know, I was young back then. I just would have thought like, yeah, I'm the shit, you know. But whereas you know, I'd had to sort of struggle with live poker and sort of lost heads up a few times, like obviously still amazing scores, but like a bit heartbreaking not to close it out and stuff. And so, yeah, for it all to kind of come together. And also that time, you know, back when I first started playing British Rails, it was for anyone who made the final table. But now, like, it's been a bit of a low in British poker for the last few years. No one had been really final tabling and stuff. So everyone was super pumped for it. And yeah, I just like got there and was like, I got to win this one, you know, like and everything went like, it was like a dream because like I just made big hand after big hand. It was like, it wasn't any tough decisions, and yeah, so they made it easy for me.
So you've done 2 parts of the Triple Crown that we keep on alluding to. The EPT is the one missing part of that. Now, 2 of your good friends, Jake and Niall Feraldo, have done the Triple Crown, and the bit that's evading you is the EPT. Now, you've went deep in 2011, EPT Prague, you came 15th, and 2013 you were 8th in EPT London. Is there, I mean, you still play a lot of EPTs when you can.
I only play Barcelona pretty much these days. And like I used to play the Caribbean until that went. And I mean, how many are there these days? There's only like, is there like 5 each year or something? I don't even know.
I think it's, if it resumes, Barcelona, Monaco, Prague.
Sochi?
Sochi as well. Yeah, Sochi has just been announced. October.
Yeah,
it's just been announced yesterday. Do you think that this does it bother you that you've not got that part?
A little bit. I like, especially because like online, like it's obviously completely different. But the Triple Crown online, I like crushed and won like loads of them. Actually, I'd won 29. And I really wanted, like, obviously it's like complete long shot, but I was like, I really like the 30th just to be the live one. And I was doing good in Barcelona. I wasn't. Well, I mean, like as in doing good, I had chips and I was just
Yes.
about in the money, so there's still 300 left. But in my head, I was like, I'm winning this, but then I didn't. But I didn't get anywhere near. But yeah, the problem with like, I think it's something I would go for a lot more if it was one of the other ones that I needed to win, like the WPT or the WSOP, because like there's so many chances, especially WPT. You can rebuy as well, so you know you got rebuy events all over America that I could go to. Whereas you know the EPT, there's only 4 or 5 a year. I think they're one re-entry now, most of them. But most of them aren't really practical for me. I have to travel a lot, and it's just for one tournament. Which, so like Barcelona, I love. I go every year, and I'll play that every year. But I don't know. I didn't really like Monaco when I went like once or twice. Never cashed there, so I've kind of crossed that one off. And then Sochi just feels so far away. And Prague's good, but like it's the same time as 5 Diamond at Bellagio, which is just a huge event, and I can, you know, almost walk there. So if it wasn't so hot, but no. So like it's just not very practical for me to go to Prague and try and do Prague and Bellagio. So I basically just do Bellagio every year. So Barcelona's the only one, but like, you know, obviously I'm trying that extra 10% in that one every year than another live tournament. But if it happens, it happens. But say if it was a World Series event, or then, you know, we have hundreds each year, or WPTs you can just rebuy and stuff like that, then I think it would be a lot more likely. But at this point, I think it's, you know, if it happens, it happens. But I'm not really like going out my way to try and do it. I remember that EPT London. If they brought back EPT London, I would play that every year as well, because like I don't know. I've always wanted to win a big live tournament in the UK, just because even like all my friends from university would come and watch and stuff like that. And like I remember when I got 8th in that, my mum came up to rail, and I actually came into the final table pretty short. I had like 20 bigs. So I've reshoved 7s, lost a flip, and I was out in less than an hour. And she was just like, "Oh, is that it? I've come all the way for this." She'd only gone on like a 45-minute train, and she was like pissed that she, you know, now what's she gonna do for the rest of the day? And I was like, "Yeah, it's over, Mum. Like, don't worry about me. I've just missed out on the chance of the title and like a million quid." But she was more concerned about what she was gonna do for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
She was like, "You can't. Why did you go all in with that?" She was like, "You should have waited for something better than that."
Yeah, parents, eh? So I mean, it doesn't bother you that much, but obviously it's going to become elusive. And if you say Barcelona is going to be the only one you're really going to play because the other two kind of clash, or you're not really interested that much in it, Barcelona, as far as I'm aware, we work in them all the time, constantly gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year. So, I mean, it's a great time. I mean, August, it's always hot. It is massive. So I think if you were to do it, do you think that would be the best one out of the 3, or do you think they've all got different sorts of forms?
Yeah, I think they're all quite different, but like I still think maybe the WPT was the best one for me, in the sense of like, just because I was in like a difficult place in life. So like right now I feel pretty good. Like it wouldn't, you know, like I don't really spend money anyway, like my wife does, but but no, I like, it wouldn't change. Like that kind of changed my life again. Like I felt a lot more comfortable, and I was able to I've been waiting to propose to her, and I wanted to sort of have financial security again and stuff like that. So that was like a big turning point. I felt like I was growing up and sort of becoming a man, kind of thing. It was a weird thing. But whereas like it would be nice, of course, and it would feel like a great achievement. And I think, you know, it would be a sick rail, because like most of the guys go and play Barcelona, like everyone goes down there and plays it. And it would be amazing. But I think it would be different, if that makes sense. But I would still think WPT and maybe even World Series would mean more, because like the World Series, I'd always wanted to win one so bad. Whereas, like obviously I'd love to win an EPT, but I don't know. I feel like it's changed over the years. Like when I first started playing, I think the EPT would have been the thing I wanted to win the most. But I kind of changed, even though I need it for a Triple Crown. But the fact that Jake and Ferrado both done it kind of doesn't feel as good to me now. I'm like, if they've done it, it can't be that good, can it? You know.
Brilliant. Online, you're an absolute beast and a completely different player, as it were, to live. 2008, you were number one with Pocket Fives, and I think that's still to this day. 2013, you were the first player online to 10 million earnings. 2018, first player to break and only player to break the 15 million barrier. According to the Hendon Mob, it's 16.4 mil to date. You were awarded the Pocket Fives Legacy Award at the Global Poker Awards. Why don't you just stop playing online? Because it seems like you own it.
Not fun. Why did what?
Why don't you just stop? Because it seems like, you know, it's in your back pocket. It's like, you know.
Yeah, no, I just enjoyed doing it. Like the day I stop enjoying it, like I'll do something else. But like to me, it's like, I don't know. Like to me, it's almost like a video game, like like a PlayStation game, or whatever. You just like, if you enjoy playing FIFA, you know, even if you're winning like against your friends, you still want to play, you know. So I don't really play like, I play more for the competition, and just like I like sort of, I like still have fun with it, you know. Like say like someone does a dumb bluff against me and I call them, I'm like laughing in my living room, like I try and like, because obviously like naturally, you know, someone fucks you in a big hand, you come 11th, you're going to be frustrated and you're going to be like, oh, you know, kind of thing. So like when something good happens, I like, or even in these like bounty tournaments they have all the time these days, like if I knock out a bounty, I'm like giving it like a bounty celebration. Like I just try and have like fun with it as well, and I enjoy it, and it gives me like a, I don't know, a sense of purpose as well. Like I hate sort of sitting around the house doing nothing. Like I don't really like sort of just watching it, chilling and watching a TV show. Like kind of get a bit, I don't know, I can do that for 30 minutes, but if it's an hour-long show, I have to stop it and take a break. So I like to, like, if I don't have any big plans with friends and stuff, I just like to play online. I find the time goes fast. I enjoy it. So yeah, I'll just keep doing that until I do it. And there's always new things like that come up that you want to do good and achieve. Like right now they've got the bracelet events, the online bracelet events in the WSOP. So I've been playing those the last, I think it was event 13 last night. So I guess 2 weeks now, because there's one a day. So there's another 18 of those. And then after that, there's the tournament, the same thing on GG Poker that I'm going to go to Mexico with a few friends and get a house there and play that. So yeah, I really like to win one of those and just win an online bracelet, because like feels wrong to have my bracelet in live poker when I, you know, when there's a chance to get it in online. So yeah, there's always stuff that comes up that you want to achieve, and I don't know, like I always stay motivated for online poker. It doesn't ever really feel like a grind to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you what motivates you to do it, because as you said yourself, 29 online Triple Crowns, is that right?
I think I got the 30th, but it wasn't Barcelona, so yeah, 30.
So
yeah, it's just a normal one.
What motivates you to get up in the morning and do it? Because as I've read out, you've basically done it all online. You're untouchable, basically. What gets Chris out of bed to do it? Like, you know, what drives you?
I don't know. It's just, like I said, I just enjoy it. And like, I feel like if I'm not playing and I'm not doing something really fun, then I feel like I'm wasting the day, kind of thing. So I like, if someone like calls me to do something and it sounds fun, I'll do it every day of the week, apart from Sunday. I'm not missing Sunday. It's just too fun to me. But other than that, like I'll take any other day off. But like if I've got no plans, then I just, you know, want to play online really, unless, you know, like I've been on a particularly sort of playing all the time. Like I'll try and take more days off these days, like just because I can't, not a spring chick anymore. I can't physically do it like day after day. But yeah, like I just enjoy it, and it feels like rewarding to me when it goes well. And even you know, even if it goes badly but I've played well, I try and take the positive in that as well. So
do you have any routines? Like obviously we've spoke about the live ones. Do you have any routines about, for instance, Sundays? Sunday's the biggest day in the online poker sort of thing. Do you have any, like, you get up, have a breakfast, go for a walk or anything like that, or do you just rock out of bed and turn the computer on?
No, I'm old school. I just fucking get straight in there. As soon as I wake up, I check to see if there's anything I need to get in within like 2 minutes. And if there's not, I have time for a shower. If there is, then there's no shower that day, and it's just straight in. Like even I don't even on Sundays. I barely eat when I play. I just kind of, unless my wife puts some food in front of me, she's always like, "Do you want something to eat?" I'm like, "Not until I win. Once I win, I'll have something." Yeah, I don't deserve it until I win. But yeah, I just kind of like, just try and get in the zone, and like I'll try and give myself a few minutes after I wake up before I have to play, so I have a little bit of time. But I'm not really working out before I have to play. Like maybe in the weekdays, I'll like when it's a bit more relaxed and I have more time and don't have to start as early, then I can, go outside a bit and go for a walk the dog, and do a workout with like I have a home gym and stuff. So stuff like that. But on a Sunday, it's kind of just all about the poker, really.
Yeah.
Like.
You've spoke about you've got the dog, your little Yorkie, London. Do you take him out? Does that your job? Do you take him out to kind of get a little bit stress free, go for walks with him, or?
He's actually like the easiest dog to manage ever, because he's lazy. He doesn't like going for walks. So, and he pees and poos inside on his like little potty pad. So I just have to pick up his shit and make sure he doesn't like pee on the rug and stuff like that. But he doesn't need going. Like I have friends who have to take their dogs out on sink break all the time, and like. Yeah, but especially in the heat, he'll go outside for a walk, and he wants me to pick him up after about 100 meters. So he's really chill and pretty easy. So,
and he's called London, yeah.
Yeah, but he was around before I was around. So,
okay.
Yeah, so that was at first I did wonder what Katie did see in me, and then I realized it must be because I'm English. Like she called her dog London,
It must be weird for her walking along the street with him shouting London every 2 minutes.
Yeah. We go and like get an Airbnb in London quite a bit, because I have to play. I go and play a bunch of tournaments at the Aspers Casino in London for 888.
Yeah.
And we take him with us, because we can't. Both of us don't want to be without him, so we take him on the plane, and he's service animal and stuff. So don't have to pay for him extra. So it's pretty good. But when we take him out in London, she's like calling his name, and everyone. Yeah, I think she's a crazy person.
Brilliant. Dogs are. I think they're a good medicine, regardless whether you're taking them out or not. It's good to have them. They can pick up.
Oh yeah, spirits. Like especially like I get knocked out of a live tournament, I come home and he's just there and he's so happy to see me. Instantly, I kind of forget about the tournament and it's over, and it's just like he just knows as well. Like he knows when you need that little extra sort of attention.
Yeah, it's like unconditional love. It's brilliant. Going quickly back to the online, what is your normal setup online? I mean, do you, if you don't mind me asking, do you have like a max tables you'll have up on your screens, or?
Yeah, like obviously back in the day you used to just fire everything, and but the game's got a lot tougher, so you can't be autopiloting. So I try and just like probably like max out 12 on a Sunday, but that's on a Sunday. Normally I play like 6 to 8, and I late register a lot of stuff because I think my main strength actually is like sort of final tables and ICM sort of spots and bubbles and stuff like that. Whereas like 100 big blind, 200 big blind poker against like some of the best in the world, like I don't know, I might be efficient. So I don't normally play tournaments from the start. I tend to late register. And so, then when I get knocked out one, I'll know what tournament to get in, because I know the schedule that well these days. And like I'll also set alarms where the last possible second I can get in the tournament if I don't really have space for it, or if it's a smaller tournament that I want to still have the chance in, but don't want to put the time in. So yeah, I don't mind late registering. Obviously it sucks when you go on like you can late register with 15 big blinds, 10 big blinds, and you play one hand, you're out, and you're like, God, that cost $1,000 or something. So you go on a bad streak of just snap losing the all in. It's pretty annoying, because like at least if you play from the start, you can be like, oh, I got outplayed, or I played that hand bad or whatever, and these hands just kind of play themselves. But when you double up, it's great because you're near the money and you're loving it. So it works both ways.
Brilliant. And you alluded to it again. You're sponsored at the moment, are online ambassador as well as live ambassador for 888 Poker. You have been for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Is it enjoyable? I mean, I've seen the advert with you getting tomatoes thrown in your face.
Yeah, I mean, that was enjoyable until it actually fucking smashed me right in the face. And it was actually pretty hard as well. I wasn't expecting it to like be, I can't remember who threw it, but like they threw it with a lot of force. I think it was Vivian Saliva actually, and I didn't expect her to throw it that hard at me, which is good. But yeah, no, it's good because like a quite good team of people. I know them all now pretty well. Just like even the last couple of years, Martin Jakobsen joined, and he's someone I'd obviously like you know, played against many years online and live, and we had a lot of mutual friends, but I didn't know him that well, and like got to know him better at different stops we all go to, and yeah, so it's like nice just to like catch up with people, and even the crew, I get along with everyone really well there. So yeah, overall it's been a really positive experience.
Yeah, it looks good going forward for Moorman 1, as it were. You've got a couple of books out as well. Back in 2014, Moorman's Book of Poker. 2017, The Inside Story of the Most Successful Poker Player Ever. Whatever happened to the name? I mean, I would have thought it would have been easy having the Book of Moorman.
Yeah, and I get that. I asked all that all the time, but there was a small chance I could get sued. So
okay.
And like obviously writing books doesn't bring in the big bucks, so it wasn't really worth the risk of using that title and then getting sued. But so I had to, like, obviously that was like the go-to. It wasn't even a question of what the title was going to be, but yeah, like they said they couldn't guarantee I wouldn't get sued, and it was on me. Okay. So I didn't really want to risk it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it would have been nice, but like book titles, I feel like it's nice, but it's obviously like more about what's in it and stuff. But no, like writing those was something I would never have done as well without Kay. She like encouraged me to get out of my comfort zone and write both of those. Like the first one, I only wrote half of it because it's more like a coaching angle of this other guy who's sort of half poker player, half author. So I like commented on his hands that he had played in like stuff like the Stars Supernova free roll and stuff when they used to have that. And but it was I felt a bit bad for him because like he'd send me like hundreds of hands, and I had to scrap some of the hands that he played really well because I'd be like, oh, I don't have enough bad things to say about this one to talk about. So it makes him look worse than he actually is. So I feel bad for him in that. But and then the second one, like if I'd done the second one, I wrote all myself, which was a bit more daunting because like the first one, at least I could go off, what someone else was doing and then write comments on them and then fill it out a bit more that way. But this one, they were like, okay, you got to write like 80,000 words and like your life story. And then like, yeah, it was crazy. But so that was hard one to get started on. But once I did get into it, it was really good to like write it down and get it all out there. And it's actually kind of a bit like therapeutic for myself as well with the whole like backing thing and getting that out and sort of just being completely open about that and just, getting, just like talking about stuff that I wouldn't really talk about before. So I actually got a lot out of it as well as like writing the book. So yeah.
Brilliant. And moving on, what is next? What does the future hold for Chris?
I don't know really. Like I'm not someone who like I'm not a planner at all. Like my wife's trying to like plan things, months in advance, and I'm just sort of not even sure what I'm gonna do tomorrow. To be honest, like maybe I'll like the night before I'm gonna do something. I'll like talk to my friend and like just before I go to bed and like let's do this tomorrow. But like I really don't plan more than sort of a couple of days in advance. I think the only things I ever planned was like a surprise engagement for Katie, and like that was stressful. And then like that's about it really. Like I never plan our trips away. She's always booking all the stuff and stuff like that. I just keep playing poker until it's not fun for me anymore really. Like I wouldn't know exactly where I would go to, but I'd hope that I'd sort of stumble into it. Like that's kind of just how I do things. I like kind of run good, get lucky, and find a way out of it. Like I've never been a big like I don't have these big great plans that I'm gonna like put into action. I just kind of run good.
Take each day as it goes, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Well, Chris, it has been brilliant. Time's flown past. I do appreciate your time, and take care and love to the family.
No problem. Good to chat to you, Russ. Take care and all the best.
Cheers, buddy.